Legends don't die, they evolve. For every mythical beast we've unmasked, countless others still lurk in the shadows of history. Were they monsters born of imagination or distorted echoes of real creatures that once prowled our world? From fire-eyed wolves that haunted the night to prehistoric beasts mistaken for demons, these are 7 more mythical creatures that, in one way or another, really existed. The werewolf. Few legends strike fear as deeply as the werewolf, the cursed man who transforms under a full moon, stalking villages with claws and fangs. While no human has ever truly shapeshifted, the origins of this myth are tangled in both nature and psychology. Ancient Europeans lived alongside wolves, apex predators that tore through livestock and occasionally attacked humans. A single bloody encounter could spark terror that spread across an entire community. But there's more. In medieval times, people suffering from rare conditions like hypertrichosis excessive, hair growth, or rabies were sometimes branded as wolfmen. Rabies, in particular, causes aggression, foaming at the mouth, and even a fear of water, eerily resembling the monster of folklore. Witch trials often accused outcasts of being werewolves, and many confessed under torture, fueling the myth. So, while no cursed man prowled the forest at midnight, the legend was grounded in real predators, real diseases, and the very real fear of what humans could become. After all, isn't the most terrifying monster the one that looks almost like the Leviathan in the Bible and ancient Middle Eastern mythology? The Leviathan was a colossal sea serpent, a chaos monster representing destruction itself. Described as armored with scales and breathing smoke, it was the ultimate sea demon. But what if this monster was inspired by something real? Ancient seafarers likely encountered whales, especially sperm whales, which grow up to 60 feet long and can thrash violently when harpooned. Even more terrifying were encounters with prehistoric whale fossils like Basilosaurus, a serpentine ancestor of whales stretching over 50 feet. Imagine stumbling upon those bones without knowing what they were. You'd assume a sea dragon had once lived. There's also the oarfish, a real deep-sea fish that can grow longer than 30 feet and swims in an eerie, undulating motion. Rarely seen, when it does surface, it looks exactly like a serpent from myth. For ancient sailors, the Leviathan wasn't a symbol. It was a nightmare waiting to surface beneath their fragile boats. The Hellhound. From the black dogs of English folklore to Cerberus, the 3-headed guardian of Hades in Greek myth, hellhounds have haunted human imagination for millennia. These spectral canines were said to guard graveyards, hunt at night, and serve as omens of death. But they may have roots in real encounters. Across rural Europe, wild black wolves and massive stray dogs roamed freely, often hunting in packs. Their glowing eyes, reflecting moonlight, could terrify travelers. Add rabies outbreaks, where dogs turned violent and uncontrollable, and you have the perfect recipe for demonized beasts. Folklore turned them into supernatural entities, dogs that could vanish into thin air, whose footsteps burned the earth. But beneath the myth lay the very real fear of wolves and dogs as predators, companions that could just as easily turn into killers. In many ways, the Hellhound reminds us that monsters aren't always born in shadows. Sometimes they sleep by the fire until the night they bare their teeth. The Gorgon Medusa, the most famous Gorgon, was said to have snakes for hair and a gaze that turned men to stone. While the myth is drenched in symbolism, some believe it may have real roots. In ancient times, people stumbled upon fossilized remains of prehistoric mammals, their skulls twisted and alien. To untrained eyes, they looked like monsters frozen mid-scream. Add to this the discovery of petrified wood and unusual stone formations that resembled twisted human figures, and the legend of creatures who could turn people to stone takes shape. There's also a psychological angle. Venomous snakes, with their hypnotic gaze and sudden strikes, may have inspired the idea of Medusa's deadly stare. The Gorgon, then, is a myth built from fossils, snakes, and the human tendency to fear being paralyzed by a predator. The Kelpie in Scottish folklore. The Kelpie was a shape-shifting water horse that lured travelers onto its back before dragging them into rivers and drowning them. Dark, mysterious, and deadly. It reflected humanity's fear of waterways. Some historians believe the myth was inspired by sightings of seals or even horse-shaped driftwood seen at dusk. Others point to real drownings in Scotland's treacherous rivers, explained through the image of a demonic horse. But there may be a prehistoric echo here too. Fossils of large aquatic creatures like plesiosaurs, occasionally unearthed in riverbanks, would have seemed like proof of monstrous water beasts. The Kelpie became both a cautionary tale for children and a reminder that water itself can be the most dangerous predator. The Chimera, a lion with the head of a goat on its back and a serpent for a tail. The Chimera was one of Greek mythology's strangest hybrids, but its name and myth may have been shaped by real discoveries. In Turkey, the Chimera fires are natural gas vents that have burned from the ground for thousands of years. Ancient people, seeing eternal flames erupting from rocky hillsides, imagined a fire-breathing beast lived below. Add in fossils of strange mammals and reptiles discovered in the same region, and the myth had fuel to burn. The Chimera, then, was not just a monster, it was a myth built from fire itself. And like many legends, it blended natural wonders with human imagination, leaving us with an unforgettable creature that still inspires fear and fascination today. The Nuckelavee in Scottish folklore. The Nuckelavee was a terrifying sea demon, a horse-like monster with skinless flesh, rolling muscles, and a rider fused to its back. It spread disease and terror, forcing villagers to avoid the shore at night. The truth may be stranger. Many historians believe the legend arose from sightings of beached whales or orcas. To people unfamiliar with these enormous slick-skinned creatures, their appearance could look grotesque, almost skinless. Add decomposition, and the illusion of a monster became undeniable. There's also a cultural layer. Coastal people often feared storms and plagues brought by the sea. The Nuckelavee embodied those fears: unpredictable, uncontrollable, and deadly. Was it a real demon? No. But in an age where survival hinged on the ocean, the Nuckelavee felt frighteningly real. From fiery birds to shape-shifting demons. These legends prove again and again that myths are stitched from fragments of reality. Bones in the ground, predators in the night, or flames in the earth. Each one was a spark that ignited the human imagination. So here's the question: do we create myths, or do myths create us?